To the White House now, where President Trump will meet today with a bipartisan group of House members to discuss a range of issues, including tax reform. He'll reportedly be hosting Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi for dinner tonight. The president took to Twitter this morning, writing, quote, "The approval process for the biggest tax cut and tax reform package in the history of our country will soon begin. Move fast, Congress."
He went on to write, quote, "With Irma and Harvey devastation, tax cuts and tax reform is needed more than ever before. Go, Congress, go." So let's bring in Anita Kumar. She's a White House correspondent for McClatchy, and she joins us now from our bureau in Washington. Good to see you, Anita.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to start by asking you about the tweet from the president saying tax reform is needed now more than ever due to these natural disasters. Break down that logic for us. What is the president arguing?
Well, it was a little confusing at first, but basically what he's saying is that Americans, middle-class Americans, are going to get a tax break if this tax reform is passed. So he's saying while people are suffering and, have lost a lot, property damage and all sorts of other things, that this would give them a break on their taxes. It's been interesting because he's been talking about this for the last few days. Over the weekend, he basically said that his agreement with Democrats last week would pave the way for tax reform. The agreement was on aid for the hurricanes. And so he was basically saying, let's just keep going with this bipartisanship. So I think he's doing a little bit of both of those things there.
So right now the president seems to be interested in a bipartisan tax plan, but we heard Speaker Ryan earlier today say that he believes the president is ultimately going to push for a conservative tax reform. Can both of those things be true simultaneously?
Well, I think it's going to be difficult because the president has shown that he is full steam ahead on getting Democrats involved. He's doing a lot of things to do that, and Speaker Ryan has been pretty clear. Also, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has been clear. He said he doesn't need to work with Democrats. He's going to do it alone, just with Republicans. So it's going to be difficult. It's possible that there will be some things that Democrats get, and there'll be possible some things that Republicans will get. I think it's a tall order. It's going to be very tough no matter what happens. So we'll see if it can be, quote, conservative tax reform.
And Anita, we know the president is planning to sell tax reform publicly in a way that he did not on health care. He will visit 13 states over the next 7 weeks to sell the plan. Clearly, someone got in his ear and said, look, you can chalk up at least one portion of the reason why health care failed because you didn't take it on the road.
Right. There were a lot of people on Capitol Hill that sort of privately grumbled, and actually some weren't so private, publicly grumbled, that he should have been out there selling it. He should have been more outspoken and involved on health care. And so you can really see that he is trying this out. He's already been to Missouri. He's been to North Dakota. They said he's going to be on the road about once a week now, traveling to places to talk about it. And so it's really a page that most presidents have already done. It was sort of surprising that he hasn't done it. President Obama did it all the time. Previous presidents have gone out there, President Reagan, and sold their policies, or at least tried to sell their policies by getting Americans involved and getting them on board first, and then hopefully lawmakers will follow.
So lastly, Anita, James Comey, back in the headlines this week after Steve Bannon said on 60 Minutes that President Trump's decision to fire him had been the biggest modern political mistake in political history. Sarah Huckabee Sanders weighed in on that, and she said a few things. Let's listen to that, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
I think there's no secret. Comey, by his own self-admission, leaked privileged government information. Weeks before President Trump fired him, Comey testified that an FBI agent engaged in the same practice, they'd face serious repercussions. I think he set his own stage for himself on that front. His actions were improper and likely could have been illegal. He's very happy with the decision he made, and I think he's been fully vindicated by a lot of those new things and knowing that it was the right one.
So Sarah Huckabee Sanders is reading directly from a document there in the beginning. Yeah, like she, there's no wavering. She's not speaking off the cuff there. That's exactly what the White House, the message the White House wants to send out.
Right.
What do you make of this strategy? They're still on the offensive. They're still coming out with their dukes up against Comey.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they saw the interview on Sunday and they had to get their ducks in a row. They had to figure out what they were going to say. She said virtually the same thing on Monday when I was there for the White House briefing, reading from a piece of paper, same talking points that she said on Tuesday. So clearly this is their strategy. They're going to push back and push back hard. What she said raised some eyebrows yesterday, though, because she's basically saying what he did broke the law, which is a pretty interesting thing to say from the White House. She's not the Department of Justice. She's not an attorney. She's not a prosecutor. But she pushed back and said, well, I'm not really saying that. I'm just saying he should be investigated, maybe. Maybe DOJ should investigate them. So she got right up to the line. But I think you're going to see her continue to be forceful on this issue.
Anita Kumar of McClatchy. Thank you so much, Anita.
Sure. Thank you.